Alright everybody, welcome back to another video right here on the Bad Wrestling channel. Of course, my name is Dominic, and today's predictions time once again for an AEW pay-per-view, AEW Revolution, a show that I can guarantee will not disappoint me and make me legit, this is a shoot, make me stay up till 2:30 in the morning thinking and being fueled with hate, with Goldberg winning their top prize by burying one of the really hottest thing behind AEW itself. Sorry, I didn't mean to really start this off on a sour note. Anyways, let's move into the first matchup of this 8-match card. We got tag team action. We got Evil Uno and Grayson taking on Frankie Kazarian and Scorpio Sky. Now, I'm going to add a little caveat to this. I know there's a lot of people thinking that Matt Hardy is going to show up. Here's the thing. Matt Hardy's contract ends at midnight. So it feels really weird for AEW to push itself to midnight in order to get that Matt Hardy vignette. I don't think he's going to show up. I don't think so. I think that Matt Hardy might be the Exalted One. I can't really see anybody else doing it. I know some people thought Raven, but I'm not really into that personally. Nothing against Raven at all. I know he's a tremendous promo, but it just doesn't feel right to me. I don't know. Anyways, I believe the Dark Order's going to win. If you wanted the actual prediction to that match. Yeah, I don't see Kazarian and Scorpio Sky getting the win. So, yeah, I think the Dark Order are going to win. Maybe Christopher Daniels could be the Exalted One. That feels way too obvious, though. I don't know. Anyways, I think the Dark Order are going to win. Next up is a match that I am probably the most excited for out of all of them. Maybe. I love him so much. And by him, I'm talking about Orange Cassidy. Orange Cassidy will be taking on Pac. Pac's going to win this. That's not a prediction. That's a spoiler. No, okay, Paul Heyman. I don't need your stats right now. I think Orange Cassidy is kind of just there to be fed. If Orange Cassidy does win, does he fight Kenny Omega then? And draw in a 30-minute Iron Man match with Kenny Omega? It just doesn't feel right. I think Pac's gonna win this. He's going to brutalize my boy Orange Cassidy. And truth be told, I don't even think Orange Cassidy should really be wrestling in AEW. I know that sounds weird. I love Orange Cassidy. I've seen more of his matches than Apollo Crews. Yeah, that's a safe bet. Anyways, Pac's gonna win this. And that just feels obvious, because then Pac will be like, hey, I beat Orange Cassidy, you're a fan hero, okay, nobody can beat me, okay? Kenny Omega had to make his friends push this is a horrible Pac impression, but, Kenny Omega had to, I just think the Pac versus Kenny thing is still going on. I get an Iron Man match is pretty definitive as, a victory for Kenny, but, it feels really weird to have all of this build-up, and then nothing happen with Kenny. Although, Kenny Omega might be doing something else with the tag team titles. Either way, though, let's get into that tag team. Okay, I was going to save it on until, the end of the card because it's the title matches. But you know what? I'm going to get into it because I do want to talk about this. Kenny Omega and Hangman Page taking on the Young Bucks for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Orange Cassidy, I just love him. So I'm very excited to see him wrestle his first match. Either way, though, storyline-wise, all seriousness, I think this is the match I'm most intrigued about because there's so many different ways it can go. I think this tag team title match, from a storyline perspective, it's way more interesting than the main event to me. Truth be told, the main event I'm not incredibly excited for, which is weird to me because I love Moxley and I love Jericho. But I think that Omega and Hangman Page, they could do a whole bunch of stuff. They could split apart. Kenny Omega could turn heel on the rest of them. Hangman Page could, have a good match with the Young Bucks, and then all of a sudden be like, you know what? I want to be a good guy for realsies, and be like a weird Stone Cold hybrid with the drinking thing. Or Sandman. Hangman Page could be Sandman. He unmasks and it's Sandman. By the way, though, I think the Young Bucks are going to win this one. I think they're going to be taking home those tag team titles. And I think one of the two are going to turn heel. Hangman Page feels so obvious, though. He feels so obvious. Maybe he'll be a member of the Inner Circle. Nah, he wouldn't be a member of the Inner Circle. Oh, and speaking of the Inner Circle, it's going to be sending me Guivara versus Darby Allin. Oh my god. Okay. The more I'm talking about the show, the more I'm getting excited for it. Darby Allin, I think, is going to win this. Sammy's really good, but if he wins, he gains nothing. If Darby Allin wins, he could have a claim to, like, hey, I want to be the first ever, AEW mid-card champion, which they should have. But yeah, or he could be like, hey, I can fight for the freaking world title. Okay, I'm Darby Allin. Look at me. I've got half my face as a skeleton. Ooh, it's spoopy, all right. Next up, it's Jake Hager versus Dustin Rhodes. Jake Hager is it's his first match, and I think if you really want to put over Jake Hager as being the brute muscle of the Inner Circle, he's got to get the win. And Dustin Rhodes, he doesn't lose anything from a loss. Yeah, it's Hager. Next up, I'm putting the AEW Women's World Title here because it was going to be Cody versus MJF next. However, I didn't take advantage of the segue of Dustin Rhodes into Cody Rhodes, so we're just going to talk about the Women's World Title match. It's going to be Nyla Rose versus Kris Statlander. Okay, I've got issues. I don't mean to come off as a hater. I don't. I can see why people like Kris Statlander. She, on a certain level, is interesting. However, I can't get into her. I don't get the alien thing. I don't like the idea of an alien in wrestling. It feels weird. I get the boop, that's funny to an extent, but man, she does not tickle my fancy, okay? However, you know who does? Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose is gonna beat Kris Statlander, and that's not just because I like her more, that's just because that's gonna happen. Like, Nyla Rose just defeated Riho, why would she lose? Kris Statlander is meant to lose that. But yeah, either way, Nyla Rose is gonna win that. However, what you want to know, and I know this is what you all want to know, is who's gonna win between Cody Rhodes, or Cody, or whatever you want to call him, versus MJF. This has been racking my brain the entire 15 minutes I've been recording this. I had a class before recording this for college. I've been thinking about it the entire, 3 hours in there. I don't know. Cody. It's gotta be Cody. Chris Jericho is a heel. Hold on, let me explain that. Chris Jericho is a heel, so he's the AEW World Champion and he's a heel. If MJF were to win this, and he wanted to go after Jericho for the AEW World title, it's heel versus heel, that doesn't really work, and you're not going to turn Chris Jericho babyface, because he's going to be fighting Jon Moxley, who's the ultimate babyface, and MJF, he's the ultimate heel, you're not going to turn him face. MJF has the ring, and Cody, he's lost every single match on pay-per-view that he's been in, and so unless you're stretching this out to another pay-per-view, which AEW doesn't really do that. Once you hit a pay-per-view, that's literally most likely the end of the story, or the start of a story. So I think Cody's gonna win. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. And next up, it is the main event of the evening: Chris Jericho versus Jon Moxley. I don't see Moxley becoming champion yet. I think if you really want to cement yourself as the non-WWE product, I don't believe that you can have Chris Jericho, a WWE guy, become the first AEW World Champion, and then immediately afterwards, Jon Moxley, a WWE guy. And I get, he was on the Indies before. Shut up. I know. But people know Dean Ambrose. I don't think you can do that. I think Kenny Omega is destined to be that next champion. And I think Chris Jericho could fight Darby Allin at the next pay-per-view. That kind of makes the most sense, considering Darby Allin has this feud with the Inner Circle anyways. So I think Darby Allin at the next pay-per-view will fight Jericho. Because if Moxley wins, I don't know what happens then. Chris Jericho is, if you really think about it, the only top heel on the roster. MJF, sure. He's like there, but he's not there yet. You know, he is still, in my opinion, really upper mid-card. You know, Cody to me feels very upper mid-card. And just looking at this list, I don't see who would be fighting Jon Moxley if he was to win the title. Like, Jericho's the only real guy I can see doing it. So I think what's going to happen is Jericho is going to be fighting Darby Allin the next pay-per-view. Depending on who turns heel, Omega and Hangman are going to fight at the next pay-per-view. That makes sense to me. And then the winner of that one goes on to fight whoever wins between Darby and Jericho. Anyways, I want to know what you guys think is going to happen, because this is something I really love about AEW, is that they have so many different things that can happen. They are so unpredictable, and not in a terrible way like Goldberg beating Bray Wyatt. No, they're very unpredictable in an interesting way. Everything they seem to do has so many different branching things that could happen, and like all of them are interesting. Like, if MJF were to win, what happens? If Cody wins, what happens? You know, if Orange Cassidy defeated Pac, holy shit, what happens then? You know, everything feels very interesting, as opposed to Goldberg beating Bray Wyatt in, like, I don't even know the official time, like 2 minutes. I'm actually pissed off at that. Anyways, what do you guys think is going to happen at the AEW Revolution show? If you guys like it, please let me know by hitting the like button down below. Comment anything you want to comment, especially what your predictions are for this pay-per-view. Subscribe if you haven't already, but if you have, why not hit the bell to be notified of everything we do here on the Bad Wrestling channel? I am, of course, Dominic, and have a good day from Bad Wrestling.